Here we are, episode 33 of the Experience Annie Wines Monday extravaganza we do every Monday. So today, as you can see, the background has changed. Not a virtual background. I am here in a hotel room in lovely Las Vegas. I'm speaking tomorrow morning at the Waste Expo. And as always, it's all about consistency is key. So even when I'm traveling and have those opportunities, it's still important to me that every Monday at 15:30, 3:30 Central Standard Time, I am here expressing myself, sharing and giving of myself to the world. So, as always, we're going to start off today with some moments of gratitude. Today, I'm grateful for fellow CEOs, business leaders, business partners. I had lunch today with a good friend of mine, JC. We've known each other a number of years. She recently started a hauling company. About 2 years ago, she started. And she said to me, she goes, Andy, it's lonely at top. And I go, it is lonely on top. And yet, we can look to each other, beacon to beacon, mountaintop for mountaintop, and share with our experiences with each other. And I know for me, my Vistage CEO roundtable I go to every month on a Friday, those are my people. I would not be where I'm at today, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, you name it, without my fellow CEOs. So these are people that are invested in me, even though we do not have a friendship necessarily. Our businesses don't interact where they connect, and yet we are personally invested in each other to live happy, healthy lives and to grow together. So I'm thankful for all the fellow business owners and business leaders that habitually challenge me and push me and make me a better business leader. So I'm grateful for those people. Second thing we do on the show is I give an ask, and my ask is simple. I'm excited tomorrow morning to speak in front of a few hundred people to kick off Waste Expo. I love speaking, right? I think about entrepreneurship. The perfect equation of entrepreneurship is what is something you're willing to do for free that others are willing to pay you for. And for me, it's keynote and public speaking, whether it's a workshop or a big keynote. I don't care if I'm in a room with two people and we're talking about why words matter. So, if companies, organizations, nonprofit, for profit, right now I am wanting to get myself out there. I'm doing a lot of pro bono work because right now it's about getting the reps and really defining what matters to people most and how do I deliver on the keynote. So right now it's all about the reps. I know some people have been apprehensive because they're like, what does it cost and what does it charge? Right now I want to get the reps in. So if organizations that want to dedicate anywhere between 45 minutes to 90 minutes to teach themselves and their staff the importance of why your words matter, I want to hear about them. So tomorrow I'm doing the language of leadership. It's really focused on mid-level managers and how to change their language to take more ownership and listen for language that's being used by frontline employees so that, again, there's more goal setting and more accountability, more achievements within the organization. So there's my gratitude. There's my ask. Let's get in the meat and potatoes of today's show. So today we're going to talk about why quitting is the key. It's that simple. Quitting is the key. This stemmed from a video I watched over the weekend. It was a gentleman, he's an engineer, and his son built a Lego bridge. And so the Lego bridge was one side was taller than the other side, right? So imagine here, the Lego bridge was like this. And the dad said, oh, okay, we need to fix this because it's not going to line up. And then he said, I'm going to start looking for bricks. And the son said, hold on, let me just take away these bricks. And now it matches. And yet the dad was looking to get more bricks to build the bridge. And so he thought to himself, wow, as engineers, they're always taught to build more, add more, make things more. As humans, it's always more. And so he ran the experiment. He got together at a university and he had a bunch of students, right? He gave them the same exact problem, bridge like this. All of the students added bricks. He gave the same problem to a bunch of engineers. They all added bricks. And yet, his 3-year-old solution of taking away bricks also solved the problem, right? So, less resources and still led to a resolution. Because the challenge as humans is we're like, okay, we have to accept this bridge, right? And so now we have to raise up and build another bridge that justifies this thing. And it's not so true. 2 shows ago or last show, we talked about Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson said that the number one, the rule of the 12 rules for life, the rule that people break the most is always tell the truth or at the very least do not lie. And I got talking about this with my friend JC last week. Her and I talked about this. And this is the simple equation I came up with, right? It's easy to lie. It's hard to tell the truth, right? Let's accept that, right? It's easy to lie because now we're not being vulnerable. Now we're not accepting our reality. However, it's complicated to lie. It's easy and complicated, while it's simple and hard to tell the truth often. So, this is why I eliminate the words easy and hard within my language. right? I want to go with simple and complicated. It's complicated to lie. You have to conjure it up. You have to get creative. You have to remember who you told what to. That's awfully complicated. Versus tell the truth is simple. This is what happened. And I'm going to tell everybody exactly what happened because it's simple. And yet we complicate our lives by adding in all this unnecessary stuff. Why? Because it's perceived as easy. And we go through life saying, okay, what's the easiest thing to do? When we're in a tough spot, what's the easiest thing to do versus what's the simplest thing to do? We talk about people that are struggling with something, whether it's weight loss or quitting smoking or quitting drinking. It's often you quitting eating, quitting drinking, quitting smoking are all difficult things, and yet it's the simpler thing to do. In order to eat too much, you have to order more food and you have to make more food and you have to eat more food. In order to smoke, you have to go to the gas station, pick up the cigarettes and get a lighter and find a designated smoking area and then smoke a cigarette and then have to go play catch up if you break away from work. Right? Drinking, you have to go to the bar, you have to pay for overpriced drinks, you have to wait for the bartender to serve you. Right? You have to pay your tab and not forget your credit card at the end of the night. It's a complicated process, and yet not smoking means you don't do any of those things. You just wake up and go to work or life, and then you don't stop at the gas station and you don't do all these things, right? Quitting eating, right? Okay, you order less, you spend less money, you spend less time eating, and now you have more time, money, and energy to dedicate towards something you want to do. Or quitting drinking. All of a sudden, I've talked to, I quit drinking over a year ago, and more and more I talk about the fact that I'm no longer a drinking. I don't talk. I'm a non-smoker. I'm a non-alcohol drinker. It's not even about the quitting. I quit. So now I identify as what I am and what I'm not. Right? I am a non-smoker. I'm a non-drinker. It's that simple. I choose to remain sober, and my life has gotten a lot simpler now. Right? When I go to shows, it's not like, oh, I got to get a drink and I need a drink. And once I finish this drink, I'm going to pee and then I'm going to get another drink. Right? It's simpler. And yet we as humans always want to complicate things by adding to it. A couple of weeks ago, we did a time study within our business. And we looked at it. EOS looks at things in four quadrants. There's the love and great at. There's the like and good at. There's the do not like and good at. And then there's the do not like and not good at quadrants. Those are the only four quadrants. And when we did a 2 week time study, we looked at all the places we are. And there's things that I do not like doing that I'm good at. And I struggle to give those things up. I convince myself that I'm the only person that can do them. I'm convinced myself they're worth doing. I used to spend 5 to 6 hours every single week shooting content because in my head, that's what I needed to do because I had to do this content and that content. And finally, I said, okay, I need to stop all doing that. I need to shoot content, right? How can I expedite it? How can I do less, right? Make it simple and still get the same return. And so now that's exactly what I've done. I sit here, I talk for 15, 20 minutes, and I have delegation and automation to make all the rest of the content happen. I do my live Trash Talk Business podcast show, done. I used to spend 2 or 3 hours every week shooting all this content on the junk removal industry. And now I'm like, no, let me just sit down and interview somebody. When I sit down once a week, that's 52 hours I'm dedicating on the year, and I get the same achievable result. I have the conversation. I spend the hour. So instead of spending 2 or 3 hours to get 30 minutes of content, I spend 1 hour to get 1 hour of content because I stopped all this other noise and I simplified something that I enjoy doing. It got to a point where I was good at and I didn't like doing it. I didn't like doing it because the amount of time it took away from my day, and the amount of time that I could no longer do the other things that were necessary or the things that I was great at that I loved doing. And when I think about my language, I struggle with certain words, right? That's why in my book, the first thing I do is have an anti glossary, which is shit words that do not serve, because I will own my limiting self beliefs by using language that does not serve me, using words like should, using words like can't, won't, don't. I continue to struggle. And when I stop using those words, I start to become the victor of my story versus the victim of my circumstance. I start to take ownership of what's important to me. I start to take ownership of my life and I realize my life becomes much simpler and more rewarding and more fulfilling. I have more time or the perception of time now than ever. I'm no longer busy. I look to say, okay, is what I'm doing productive? And when it's productive, I get things done. And then when I say, okay, like on the weekends, a lot of people think I work like 100 hours a week. I don't work 100 hours a week, right? I don't. Let me rephrase that. I work about 50 hours a week. That is, if I look at it, there's about 50 hours a week I work. And I do it probably over a 60-hour period. There is 2 hours of BS every day that is not work, that is happening between, let's call it 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. That's about my normal working hours. So of those 60 hours, I'm working 50 of them. And then there's 2 hours a day of Facebook or pointless conversations or YouTube videos, whatever, I know my vices. I typically do not work on the weekends. What I do, let me rephrase again. I typically lay low on the weekends. I'm either at the beach, I maybe go to a concert, I'll sit around and play some video games, I'll watch a movie, I'll watch a documentary, right? I'm one of those people, like when I get on a plane, I see other people get their laptops out when they're starting to work. Uh, I relax when I'm on a plane. I had a 4 hour flight yesterday. I relaxed the whole time. I ate my combos. I had some pretzels. I watched a document. I watched a movie that I didn't know I wanted to watch, and then I watched it. I was like, that was awesome. It was on the Von Erichsons wrestling movie. I love old wrestling. Like I love it. I'm not ashamed to admit that. And so I do all these things, right? These are the things I do, and then I come in today. I felt totally re-energized because yesterday I chose not to work. Because when I do work, I'm very particular. I get things done. And when I choose not to work, I'm resting, digesting, relaxing, or using other parts of my brain. Right? When I'm playing video games, for example, or playing games, I mean, not video games, I love playing games. I love playing cards, right? Because I'm using a different part of my brain. I'm engaged, and yet at that point, I'm not thinking about work. My challenge to you is simple this week. Look at what you do every day. What are you doing that's not serving you that you need to stop doing? What words are you using that do not serve you? And what do you need to stop doing and stop telling yourself? The old adage like quitters never win and winners never quit. I'm not in competition with anybody. I want to live a better life. I look at my end state, right? The only person I'm competing against is myself. There are some things that quitting at is absolutely necessary if it does not serve, or when, not if, when it does not serve and get me to my end state. Right? My BHAG is very simple. I want to share the stage with Jordan Peterson. I want to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I want to have a speaking career that sustains my life. Those are the three things that I will accomplish in my life. When I look at my daily activities, when they apply to those three things, I do them. When they don't, I don't. Drinking was one of the simplest things. I heard from one of my mentors about how alcohol and veterans is not a good combination. And I thought about my life. I was 39 at the time, coming on 40, thinking about my health, thinking about being there for my daughter long term. And I go, there's no benefit to drinking. So I chose to stop drinking. I quit smoking the day after my godson was born because I thought to myself, okay, I want to live a healthy life. How do I do that? Even with my diet, I have high cholesterol. I take every morning I take my medication for my high cholesterol, and at 40, I'm like, man, what do I need to do? Today, I can tell you, I ate a half a sandwich instead of a whole sandwich at the deli, right? Got a pastrami sandwich at my favorite deli in Vegas, and I had half of it. I easily could have ate the second half, and I chose not to eat the next half, right? I picked those three things because two of them I've accomplished pretty well. And the third thing I'm working on, right? I'm working on my diet. It's a constant thing. Okay. My challenge is I eat healthy things. I struggle to stop eating. Like I like having 2 or 3 dinners back to back, right? I fast every day for 16 hours. I eat typically a light lunch or medium sized lunch. So when it comes to dinner, I throw it down. So for me, it's okay. What do I need to start doing? Start eating healthy. What do I need to stop doing? Having the second and third plate, right? Family size is Andy size. That's the way I look at it. Oh, your whole box is family size? Bet. Right? I'm a family of one. Let me put this thing down. So what do I need to stop doing? I need to stop eating out all the food I make. I need to start meal prepping. I need to start one of the simplest things I can do is after I cook the food, make a plate, put everything else in Tupperware and put it in the fridge. Because when I leave it on the stove, it's still like warm. I'm like, oh yeah, bet. That's mine. In my head, I'm like, if I eat it now, I don't have to wash the Tupperware later. I know who I am. And so it can be that simple. Jordan Peterson talks about you want to change your life, start with your sock drawer. Every week I come on here and I talk about one thing to do, and there's one thing I'm going to focus on this next week. The last 18 months, almost 24 months, every quarter I took on a new physical thing. Right, I started going to the gym one quarter. I started fasting one quarter. I quit drinking one quarter. Right, 2 years later, I was like, wow, I am not the same person I was 2 years ago. I wasn't like, let me do all these things at once. And that's my same challenge to you. Figure out where you're starting and stop doing something. Quitting is the key. Quit doing something that does not serve you now. Not 10 things, one thing. Pick one thing. Do it for 27 days straight. Then it becomes habitual. And for every day you go back to that bad habit, you got to make it up for 2 days. And if you go 3 days in a row, you got to start all over. I know for me, it takes 90 days to put in a new habit because I will stumble in those first 30 days. Figure out what it is you need to stop doing. Stop telling yourself. Stop telling others about who you were. And when you do that, you can creatively, simply start telling people who you are. Who you are is based off of where you're at today and where you're going to be tomorrow, not where you came from. This week and always, I'm thankful for you joining me as I continue to push myself. Stop making excuses for not putting myself out there. I'm stopping letting my brain tell me what people are going to be receptive to. And I'm starting to embrace my opportunity as a thought leader in this great entrepreneurial community, this great community of people, go getters, and growth minded individuals. And without you, it's nothing. I'm a maestro without an orchestra, a crazy man waving his hand. So I am thankful for you joining me this week. I look forward to seeing you next week. And between now and then, do the same three things, the 3 steps to life that will lead to the success you want. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world and show the fuck up. We'll see you next week.